So, we've been battling demons each week, and uh, okay, we will never use this intro video again. I have worked with StreamYard, who broadcasts these things for us, or it's a software that we use, and it's just I don't know what to say. Dave, I know, is going hard trying to get us going, get his audio going. I really would hate to shut this show down again for 2 weeks in a row. But Dave, I'm sure you're working hard there, buddy. All right, folks, we're already in 2 minutes, and you know what, Dave? Why don't you leave and come back? I'll keep the show up, and why don't you just leave, reopen the link, and we'll see if that works. So, hey, everyone. I'm still here, and you know what? I'm going to talk about. Why don't I go ahead and get started? We now want to start each week with our beer review, and so this week I have a favorite place that I like to go for lunch, and they're great people there here at BJ's restaurant, and they have this Jeremiah Red, which is an Irish red, and this is my go-to. I sit down and they just have it. Hey, Dave, you're back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, good. I can finally hear you again. So, we'll figure. I guess we'll figure. That's strike 3. Really, I don't know.
Yeah, intro is gonna go.
Yeah, intro is gonna go. Figure it out. So, I just worked with the company, and so I just hoped that doing the suggestions that they mentioned would work out. But hey, again, Jeremiah Red, is mine of the week. Like I said, it's an Irish style ale. It's my go-to. I didn't realize until I got this today, it is a 7.3. So, it gets up there a little bit more than your standard off the shelf beers, unless you're going, in the whatever they are, the 22-ounce ones, the specialty brews. But I love this. My friends there at BJ's were so nice to give me a glass today. Now, this is a borrowed glass, let me tell you. This is the difference between a big sports show, and a small sports show, because a big sports show, they give me like a case of glasses that say, BJ's restaurant on it. A small sports show like ours says, oh, yeah, take the glass. You're a good customer. Oh, yeah, bring it back, So thank you, BJ's, Paul, manager, the wait staff. I can't remember her name. She's always there and serving my son and I when we go for lunch. So Jeremiah Red, this is the bomb. If you go to BJ's at all, they got their all kinds of house brews. I love their porter and the stout. I might have got one of those today had they had them in the cans, but since they're nitro, they can't put them in the cans, I guess, or it's harder. I don't know. But so the Jeremiah Red is definitely my go-to. So you got one for this week, Dave?
I do. And actually, your beer is my go-to at BJ's. I've only been there a handful of times. If you've watched previous episodes, you know that I do like amber and red beers. So that is also my go-to beer at BJ's. Yeah, and when the show gets bigger, we won't have to worry about that. We'll have people sending us free beer to review, and we'll have all the glasses that we can stack on a shelf. So mine today is, that's right. Or more importantly, send us beer to put in glasses. We have the Dudes. So the Dudes, California, PA. See what they did? That tricky marketing. It is full of California hops. On the back, it says it's diverse, just like the Golden State. It is an IPA. It's pretty strong IPA. I would say it tastes almost like a double. So here's the color kind of it. Definitely looks like an IPA. And it's 6.9%. So a little bit lighter than Chuck's that he's having today. But also got this nice swaggy hat that was gifted to me by Chuck with a growler full of the dude's beer, I believe for my birthday or Christmas, one of those two holidays. So I do have a growler from there, but they do make very good beer. I'm just reviewing this one today. It comes in a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans. So I did have one last night so I could kind of get my taste profile because I actually hadn't had this one before. But yeah, it's really good IPA, and I would definitely buy this IPA again.
So do you have a Dude's down by you, or you found that at the store?
The what?
That beer. Did you
This beer? No, this was from I got this from a local grocery store.
Okay. I didn't know they had it in the grocery store. That's cool.
Yep, yeah, they have a couple flavors actually at quite a few big name grocery stores like Albertsons and Vons and Ralph's. You can find it in Southern California now. You can find them in a lot of grocery stores, at least 2 or 3 different flavors.
Cool. Hey, so let's enjoy our beer. How are you doing in your English Premier League as you Mr. Prognosticator of English Premier Soccer?
So I'm doing very well because Liverpool won again. Liverpool wins again last weekend. They beat Burnley 3-0. So we're still at the top of the table. For those of you that don't know soccer speak, the table is standings. So there's a table that's standings in soccer speak. So we're at the top of the table still all by ourselves. The only thing is that Manchester City, which I said is going to be our biggest rival to beat this year to win the championship, they won 4-0. So they're winning every game. It's just the point differential, but they're blowing out the teams that they're playing just like we are. So they're only a couple points behind. So it's very early in the season. There's only been a few games played, but I think it's just going to be them. And then my third place team, Tottenham, they had a very chippy end of a 2-2 tie with Arsenal this weekend that, guys started getting in each other's face. And, for all of those out there that don't watch football, you should check it out because people think it's not physical, but these guys really go at it. They're supreme athletes all over the planet. They're not all, 5'2" dudes running around. Big news came last week. Our defender, right? Our defender for Liverpool, Virgil van Dijk, won the Player of the Year, the UEFA Player of the Year. So he beat out Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, who basically owned that Best Player of the Year award for like the last decade. And our defender sat at the award show right next to him, and his name was called, and he got up to basically walk out in front of what's been the 2 best players in the world, if not maybe ever, and take that trophy away from them. And I saw kind of the votes on who won, and it was Van Dijk. He won just by a little bit over Lionel Messi for the voting, and then Cristiano Ronaldo, he was third. But then out of the next set of guys, there was 4 Liverpool players were in the top 6 of voting. So that's how strong Liverpool's season was last year, is they had 4 out of the 6 top vote getters for the Player of the Year, which that's, unheard of basically for Liverpool in the last 20 years to have that many people in the running to win Player of the Year. So awesome week for Liverpool, and I can't wait to watch some more. Everyone has a bye week this week, so it won't be one of our things to watch. The whole league has a bye week this week. But yeah, Liverpool going strong, baby.
And they has a bye week this week because it's NFL's kickoff week, and they know everybody's going to be watching.
Yeah, it's probably
football.
About a lot of soccer, European football parties to watch the opening week of the NFL. I'm sure that's what it is.
Before we move on from soccer, I am wearing today for the first time. Realistically, no one has ever seen me in this jersey, and I've owned it 6 years. It is a U.S. national men's team jersey. It's Donovan's jersey, and if you know, he didn't make the World Cup team, and so he didn't make the World Cup team. And I knew that when I saw the jersey that they had selected the teams, but they'd made them a jersey. So I was in Vegas at the Nike store and saw this jersey hanging there and said, oh, my, this has got to be worth some money someday. Probably not. But, why not buy a jersey of a guy? I mean, I love the guy. He's a fun player to watch. He's always played hard. And I think even when he was playing for the San Jose Sharks, I think our kids he came to, I think he was from Tracy, around Tracy at the time we were living in Tracy, and came out and did just a little for the whatever AYSO that we were a part of or whatever the league was. And but no, just a great guy, great player. And so I got his jersey. It's been in my closet, like I said, for about 6 years, or whenever the World Cup was. And it's a little tight because they're made for soccer players, not beer drinkers. So so anyway, what do we got, like about 80 more games left in MLB? No, I'm kidding. What's happening
25?
in 25? So in a week we can go through 10 games.
About that. Yeah.
So
pretty much. Yeah. So, we'll just kind of recap last week, things that I said to watch. So one of them was Milwaukee Brewers against the Chicago Cubs. And Milwaukee won that 3-game series 2-1. And in the last 2 games of that series, they shut out the Cubs. So the last 2 games, the Cubs didn't score a run in that series. So that was, they're both kind of fighting for the wild card in the NL. So that was really big, I think, for the Brewers, especially when it comes up to what to watch this weekend. So, they won 2-1. And then New York Mets against the Phillies. So Philadelphia Phillies. The Mets won that series 2-1. My friend Jake was actually at that game. He flew from Portland, Oregon, to see his kids, and they went to the ball game. So that was a picture that he had taken of where he sat. So that was a field. He wants to see as many baseball stadiums as he can. That's a bucket list thing for him. So he got to check a new one off of his list, that Citizens Bank field there in Philadelphia. So that was cool. Cool for him. And the game he was at on Sunday was the only game the Phillies won of that series, because the Mets won the series 2-1, and they won on a walk-off at the end of the game. So that was cool for him to go and be at a game where the home team won, and it was a walk-off win. So thank you, Jake, for letting me share your picture. And then New York played Oakland, and New York took that series 2-1, even though Oakland dominated the first game. The second 2 games were very close. The Yankees won in the 11th inning in the second game, and then they beat them by 1 run in the third game. So those were good games. So I was glad that those were the games that I wanted to watch, because they were all pretty close games as the series went on. Even those shutouts for the Cubs and Milwaukee was like 2-0 and 3-0. So they weren't big run games. And a little something that happened in baseball: Justin Verlander threw another no-hitter this weekend. So, and he's on my fantasy baseball team, so I was very happy about that. That kind of helped me win my week, because you don't usually get a guy that has a shutout, complete game, all of those things. So that was awesome. 0 ERA. So those were the games. Tampa Bay and Cleveland. That was a 3-game sweep. Tampa Bay swept them, which that's super important in this playoff race in the AL, because Tampa Bay's like right there with Cleveland. So to get a sweep, that was really big for Tampa Bay. So it was good, some good baseball going on, and I think it'll just get better. There's a lot of competitive series as I look at the schedule going through till the end of the season that are going to be series that matter as far as wild card implications in the National League and the American League.
Cool. I got to be honest. I really watch the most baseball come October. But you know what? I think more than other years, I think there's some good storylines. I think there's some decent teams, probably unexpected this year, that I think will do well. And I will watch playoff baseball this year. It'll be fun. So women's basketball, tell me about it.
Yeah. WNBA, I said last week that you should watch the Sparks and the Aces, Las Vegas Aces, LA Sparks, because they're third and fourth in the playoff race right now. That could really determine who they're going to play, maybe second round if they win their first round series. You don't want to play the top seeded Washington Mystics, who are going to clinch that number one seed, I predict, on Friday. But they played, it was a very competitive game, and the Aces won by 6. So it was 92-86, despite a guard from the LA Sparks. Her name is Regina Williams, had 37 points.
Wow.
She had 7 threes. So, I mean, I just told you the score, right? 92-86. So a lot of people that don't watch the WNBA, they think it's slow, they can't score. This is not like college women's games where it's 56-60. They score in the 90s quite often. These women are super skilled. I would say if you look at the stats on just shooting, they shoot better than men on average. A lot of these women, once they get hot, I mean, they get hot. Like, everything goes in. They have that touch. They can hit a barrage of threes. There's several girls in the league, women in the league, they shoot over 90% from the free throw line. I mean, they're shooters in this league. So if you haven't seen it, this is the week to kind of check it out, because it's the last weekend of the WNBA season. The season ends on Sunday, and then we start for playoff basketball for the WNBA. So, check it out. If you haven't got to see it, it's really worth watching. It is very good basketball. So check that out too. But yeah, because Las Vegas won, they just jumped over LA at the very end of the season for the seed, because they were 4, and now this win, they're only half game behind. So it put them ahead half a game. So they only have like a couple more games this week. So really, anyone could still flip at this end of the season with some of these playoff seedings.
So another good note in basketball is it looks like the men's national team is kind of turn things around a little bit, barely. I think they needed a little extra time to win this week.
Well, so we talked last week about how they lost to Australia already in the exhibition game, right? And they hadn't lost in like 74 games or something like that. They should have lost this weekend, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. They didn't. A win's a win, right? Still a win. Was not a pretty win. So they played Turkey, who's like the 21st ranked team. I don't know.
Oh.
They're not high up there as a world dominant basketball league, even though they do have some fairly pretty good players. But yeah, the men won 93-92 in overtime, and they barely got to overtime. So at the end of regulation, Jason Tatum was fouled on a 3-point shot. So he gets 3 free throws, right? He made 2 out of 3. He could have won it in regulation, but he tied it at least. So we went into overtime. Now, we were down like 4 points with about 20 seconds left. And so we're fouling. It's different rules. FIBA rules, or this international rules, is different. So when you go to foul a guy at the end of an NBA game, you just wrap him up, you grab him, you don't make a play on the ball, Basically, you're giving up a foul. They go to the free throw line or whatever. Well, in international rules, it's considered a flagrant foul. So the team not only gets the free throws, they get the ball back.
Wow.
So that's a different rule. Apparently, USA didn't know that, because one of the guards went up and grabbed a guy. And so he went to the line and they got the ball back. Luckily, he missed both free throws. And so we got the ball back, missed a shot. We had to foul them again. So this time we fouled them within the rules. They went back to the free throw line, missed 2 more free throws with like 9 seconds left. So Turkey missed 4 free throws while they were up at the end of the game. In like the last 9 seconds, they missed 4 free throws. We get the rebound. We go down. Jason Tatum passes the ball to Chris Middleton. He gets fouled going to the basket with 2 seconds. Like, was it 2 seconds or not? Yeah, 2 seconds left. We're down by 1. And he makes both free throws, and we win the game. Jason Tatum sprains his ankle on the play, passing the ball. No. So he's out at least a couple games. I guess it's a mild sprain. He's going to miss the Japan game this week. And then they have another – it's not a a game that's going to really mean anything because we've already won our pool. So it's not an elimination game or anything, but he's supposed to be back on Monday for when the games actually do count for USA, and they turn into elimination games, but we still have a couple pool league games, if you will, that don't matter before that. So hopefully he is back and he didn't get seriously hurt in this, but now you can kind of see why a lot of these big name guys aren't doing that. End of the game, fluke. Luckily it's a mild sprain, they said, and it should only be, a few days rest, but you don't know. I mean, you're still playing hard. You don't know when you're going to come down on a guy's foot, and now you're out for your whole NBA season. So I'm sure there were a lot of big name guys being like, see, right there, that's why I don't do this. That's why I'm not over there, But yeah, we won. We're not looking great. So it should be an interesting rest of the tournament once we get to the elimination rounds. But they pulled out a squeaker, man, and I don't know, either they're going to get in their head about it, or they'll just take it as a win's a win, and they'll move on. And one thing you got to remember is, even though these are NBA players, and we do have the best players in the world in the NBA, they've only been playing with each other for like a month. A lot of these international teams, even like Turkey, they've had the same roster and they practice in the summers for years. Like, these guys know each other. Like, they have played together on the international team for years, like some a decade, right? So they gel. They know their offense. They know everybody they're playing with. Where, these guys are getting to know each other still on the court, basically, in these games. So should be interesting to see how they do going forward.
Well, hopefully they can put something together and represent the United States well. This could be the rest of my show here. I might just sit here and drink after the next topic. That you know what, I'm going to put up an image, because this image, it's not the totality of the game, but it was the dagger. And you mentioned 9 seconds left in a game, how things can change. And there was 9 seconds left in the game. And, they should have been setting up for a field goal, and good coaching says, nope, we're going to put a dagger in this because we can still get a field goal off if we don't have this reception. And this is a season. This is, excuse me, I'm getting choked up already. The Oregon, I'll let you recap it, and then I got stuff to say.
Yeah, well, did I think we were going to win a national championship this year? I wasn't sure about that. Our defense is never strong enough to win one when we get against, SEC and Big Ten opponents in those big games, and they have big boys up front. And I'm pretty sure last week I said, hey, the big boys up front will probably win this game. And Oregon rushed for 90 yards, and Auburn rushed for 206 yards. So they more than doubled us on the ground, which to me means ball control. They control the clock. They control the ball. Our Heisman hopeful quarterback, Justin Hebert from Eugene, local kid, came back basically to try to win a Heisman, have a good season, and he had one touchdown pass. I think his quarterback rating was a 46. That's not going to win you any Heismans when you got guys on other teams throwing 4 touchdowns a game. So the fact we only scored 21 points, that's not how we're going to win games, because we need to score 40 points usually to win our games, because I'm actually pretty proud of the defense that they only gave up 27 points. Normally, if we only gave up 27 points, this would be a win. But yeah, so definitely some things to work on. A lot of the passes were short passes that we had. We didn't really open it up. I would think if you have a Heisman quarterback, he can throw the ball down the field. We didn't really try to do that. I thought we had control of the game. and then we kind of slowed it down at the end where we were trying to run clock instead of attack and push the lead up more and get it kind of, at a more comfortable spot. I thought we kind of put the brakes on some of our things, but you just can't let a team hang on like that. That's a really good ranked team, even if they have a freshman quarterback. I mean, if he's a freshman and he's starting for Auburn in the SEC, he's going to be a pretty damn good freshman. Like, he's not a chump freshman. He's starting for one of the middle ranked teams in the nation. So to do that, you got to be good. So the fact they trusted him, it broke my heart for the kid that was, it was one-on-one coverage. It was a lob ball from 26 yards away. Go get it. And the receiver went and got it. And, the defensive back was there. It was pretty good coverage, but he just didn't get his head around fast enough. He didn't rip the receiver's arms away when he touched the ball, didn't break it up. And the receiver won. The receiver won a jump ball. And so I feel for that kid. A lot of times you're pissed about the whole game, but man, I feel bad for that kid, because guess what? You go in that locker room and you're like, I lost the game. I just lost the game.
No.
For my whole team. That's how you feel though individually. As a player, that's how you feel if a guy jumps over your head and catches the game-winning touchdown with 9 seconds left. You feel like you blew it. So I hope that doesn't haunt that kid. I hope, he's able to move on good, and that doesn't, kind of destroy the start of his season or whatever, which I'm sure his coaches and teammates will gather around him and make sure he's okay. But, that's just a rough spot to be in such a big game, the first game of the season. But yeah, overall, it was hard to watch. A lot of the second half of the game was pretty damn boring, to be honest. There wasn't a lot of big plays except for at the end of the game. It was a lot of back and forth, kind of some boring offense. No one really opened anything up. It was, pretty vanilla game for quite a bit of it. But we'll see how we do next week. There's always a next week, luckily.
The bright spot was the defense. We haven't had a defense in probably 2-3 years that really has shown up. They, they've had a bend, don't break, give up the big pass. We hope we'll stop them at the goal line kind of thing. And, you watch corners, safeties that never, in years past, never turn their head and look for the ball. They're just, hey, just stick on them. They catch the ball, tackle them. If they catch the ball, tackle them. That's when you're coaching, players that just really can't compete at that level and the play. And that's what you got to, and literally that's what you got to do. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I saw last week for the defense was great. I was texting you during the game. Hey, defense is looking awesome. And, a couple interceptions, number 8, I don't know his name, but, a couple interceptions in the game. The front line, I thought, they did great. They held him at the goal line. And, they took the hits. They took the hits early. The problem was, the defense or the offense became flat. You can say that, the Ducks didn't have 6 of their receivers on the field that they'd like to have. They're out due to injury. But you can't, you could almost predict when they slowed the game down what they were going to do. The 4th and 1, you knew exactly what they were going to do. You knew where the weak side of the line was. Is that really the best play? You've got to think as a coach, this is what they're going to expect. And I want to hit them in the mouth. I want to prove that our front line can compete with the SEC. I just think in that scenario, you go somewhere else. You bootleg Hebert off to the right side instead of you pull something that you're not expecting, because they hit that play so hard for Auburn. That was definitely a gut punch. But I think what's more the issue here, this is what you get when you let the players pick your coach. And Cristobal was a player favorite. We want to play for this guy. And you know what? If you want to play for the guy, then you got to play at like 150% and make up for this coach's inefficiencies. He's outmatched with the program that is a marquee program. I actually give them a lot of praise. You look at all the matchups this week, and you have two top 25 top 25 teams that are playing each other. They put this on the schedule, but it's, to me, it's just a heartbreaker, like it was Stanford last year. And you've got coaches that just think this is the NFL. I get up by 15 points, and you know what? I'll run the game. I'll run the clock. I'll play that game. And that's not what college football is. You gotta keep that gas on until the fourth quarter runs to 0. And it's not. I don't know that it's so much crystal ball. Sorry, I'm going on long here, but Mark Arroyo, the offensive coordinator, this and this guy shouldn't have a job today. And that was just I don't know how to put it, but this Mark Arroyo, you shouldn't have a job today. You're lucky. Now you get to go play, probably some easier teams, coming up, but this loss is going to be hanging over you all season. I was hoping at least to win the Pac-12 and kind of show some dominance there. You're losing Justin at the end of the season. You don't know who your new quarterback's going to be. Maybe they do, obviously. I don't know who your quarterback's going to be. And is it going to be what the caliber of what Justin is, what everyone's the level that everyone's holding him to. But and it's on him too. I mean, there were drop passes in the game, missed field goals, a fumble, made huge difference in the game. But as a coach, you have to come back. You have to stretch the field when they step up and take away that short pass. I mean, they have a receiver go long, means the receiver staying short for that bubble screen, the quick screen, and the corner was just simply running up on him. Now it's time for a stop and go, right? You pump fake, and that guy's going to bite, and you've got open receivers. There's just no creativity in the offense. Sorry. That's that.
No. Well, and it's, for me, it's hard kind of as a Duck fan, because when we were winning, even when we didn't have as athletic quarterbacks like Mariota or Dennis Dixon, I mean, we would run an offense where we would do a lot with the running backs. There was a lot of options and draws, and our quarterback could throw the ball well. So, all those guys could still throw the ball, but they could move too. And now it seems like we're not doing any of that, because back in the day, not only did our quarterbacks throw for about 300 yards a game, they would rush for about 60, and all of our running backs could rush for 150 yards a game. LaMichael James, DeAnthony Thomas, Ontario Smith, all the way back to Garrett Blunt when I was at school there. We had running backs that could get 100 yards easy every single game through that offense, no matter who we were playing. Our offensive line's pretty good this year. I think our running back Verdell is actually a decent running back. He just needs more opportunities to go, because even back in the day, LaMichael James or DeAnthony Thomas, they might start off slow, but then once we figured it out, they would have a big hitter for 70 yards or 60 yards. So it's kind of hard to see the offense where it is, where instead of having these dominant backs with a lot of speed and skill to catch and run out of the backfield and do a lot of things for you, to be throwing these little bubble passes, which I hate that offense. It's the most boring thing to watch, is guys catch 3 to 4 yard passes. I mean, I know the Patriots win with it every year, throwing to running backs and guys that sit in zones for 4 yards down the field, but we're not the Patriots. You got to score points in college football. You got to score 40 points in college football against good teams, because they're going to score 40. So, I hope to see those big plays come back. I hope they do figure out this offense, because there are weapons on the field. There are some weapons on the field. So I hope we can get back to some sort of similar looking offense like I've seen in the past.
So tell me a little bit about, wait a minute. Hang on. I'm reading this. Clemson covered a 36.5 point spread. No way.
Yeah. They won by 38 over Georgia Tech. And I think they probably, since they're the number one team in the nation, have the leader going in for the Heisman as their running back, Etienne. So he had a career high 205 rushing yards. this weekend. He had 3 touchdowns. And the Clemson quarterback, Lawrence, he did not have a good game. His stats were very similar to Justin Heber's. I mean, I think he had 1 touchdown pass. He had a lot of incompletions. He did not have a good game, but he didn't need to. They ran all over him. Like, they just over muscled him, and they ran the ball all over him. So your quarterback doesn't really have to show up when your running back's having a career day with 205 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. So, but they need to figure that out because they're going to play better teams, and that quarterback's going to have to play a lot better than he did the first game against Georgia Tech for them to get out of the SEC without a loss.
I wanted to jump ahead. I actually listened to this game on the radio. We were traveling, with family, but I listened to the Stanford Northwestern game on the radio, probably half of it, probably in the second half. And I missed the very end of the game, but should Stanford be better than this? It was Northwestern. Stanford had a tough time down in the red zone, and in this game, and I just kind of thought Northwestern gave up some stuff and had opportunities to actually win this game.
Yeah, they did. So the game ended 17-7, but it was 10-7 midway through the fourth quarter. So I think Stanford actually just got a touchdown at the very end of the game to put it up, but the score was a lot closer throughout the whole game. And I thought, this would be a close game because Northwestern's tough. They play tough. They always keep games relatively low scoring. They're one of those teams that knows they're not going to run and gun with you. They're not going to, win a shootout. So they're very methodical in their offense. Their defense is very tight and stingy. So I thought this would be a good game, but Stanford would still win, which they did. But I think it was a pretty legit game. I think it was, even though Stanford's ranked, they're ranked 25th going in, so they're the last ranked team going into this game. I saw it being a very close game, which it was, and now I think Stanford even jumped to 23rd just as they won. Because Northwestern is somewhat respected. They weren't ranked, but they're just out of the rankings, and I think we'll have a pretty decent season in the Big Ten. But yeah, I think that was, it was about what it should have been. They're both very, ball protecting, try to keep possession teams. I think Stanford might be the only smash mouth football team left in the Pac-12 on a consistent basis with their coach who's, very big on that, very run heavy offense and everything. So I think it was about what I thought it would be, with Stanford winning by a little bit. But Northwestern, like I said, I don't think had the offensive power to ever get over the hump. Obviously they only scored 7 points. So
yeah,
they're going to have to find a way to score more points if they're going to win more games, obviously. But it's about what I thought it would be for that matchup.
So LSU playing Georgia Southern High School of West Kentucky Middle School, 55-3. I mean, you can set records. Go ahead.
Cupcake. One of those cupcake games, good for LSU. They got to play their third string in the second half, but who cares? 55-3. Their quarterback threw 5 touchdown passes in the first half, which tied a single game record for LSU. And guess what? There hasn't been a ton of wonderful quarterbacks at LSU. I mean, name one. Who do you know in the NFL is a quarterback for LSU right now? Last one I remember is Jamarcus Russell, and he was good for a minute, and that was a long time ago. It's a running back. They have good fast receivers who catch 5-yard slants and go 90 yards. They have great athletes there, but quarterback's usually not their strongest part. So you got a guy, good for this kid though. Not to take anything away from him. You still got to throw the ball, but 55-3, but there's nothing worse but the next game where Penn State played Idaho, who Idaho moved down to Division II. They're not even, at the top anymore at FCS level. They beat them 79-7. Penn State won 79-7 over Idaho, who's D2 now, and Idaho had 4 yards rushing. 4
Oh,
yards rushing in the whole game. I bet if you give me 10 carries and I just run and jump as far as I can 10 times, I get 4 yards. Like I maybe get 4 yards off of 10 carries if you give me a chance. It was 65-0 early in the fourth quarter. 65-0 before Idaho scored a late touchdown, probably against the 4th string LSU defense. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, why put these on your schedule? Like, no one's learning anything. I mean, I guess you get to work on plays with live bodies that aren't your practice guys in front of you, but it's a D2 school. LSU has you can't pick at least a D1 school in your area, like Louisiana Tech, or, pick a school like Grambling or Southern, one of these historically black colleges that doesn't get a lot of publicity, that you only see at the end of the year sometimes, for a special matchup like Southern and Grambling. Play one of those teams. Like, why are you going playing Idaho in your first game that's now D2 that hasn't won a game in like 5 years? Like, they're awful. Like, it's just a waste. I
yeah.
think it's a waste, but I'm sure Idaho gets money because that's how it
Sure.
works. When you sign up, Idaho probably got a check for like $1.5 million for coming to LSU and getting smashed. Hopefully none of their kids got injured. But, oh, my gosh.
Leela says it sounds like the Cougars.
Oh, that'd be the
Cougars
Cougars
of Washington?
The Washington State's good now. They blew out. They had a blowout.
Yeah, you had said LSU, quarterbacks. Looking back, and I did a quick little search here. Zach Mettenberger.
Yeah. Who's
Matt
he play
Flynn.
for now?
Matt Flynn.
Yeah, he was backup for Seahawks for a long time in the Packers, but
yeah,
okay career. But
like you said, Jamarcus Russell,
running backs and receivers, linemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the talent that they throw swing passes and 5-yard routes, and then these great athletes take it the distance.
So let's go ahead and move on to our play it through. It's not really a person of the week. It's really a program of the week, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's basically a group. So normally it has been an individual, but this week my play it through is a group, and it's the Iowa Hawkeyes football fans. So one of my friends reminded me of this by sending me a video this week, my friend Rusty, and it's called The Wave. So what these fans have done since September 2nd of 2017 is this new tradition where all the fans wave to parents and children in the Iowa Steed Family Children's Hospital, which overlooks the field. And, so after the first quarter, all the fans turn and they wave to all the kids and the parents. And, there's some really great stories on YouTube about it. It's 70,000 fans usually in the stadium that does this. During night games, they all have their phones on, so it looks like a bunch of fireflies for the kids. And, here you can see in the video, all the kids are just saying how special it makes them feel and how much energy it gives them while they're going through, what there it is in this children's hospital. And so it's just wonderful. So, this is one way that I love how sports can really, be a community and bring things together. Everyone wants to be part of something. And this is an exact example of that, where, they've taken something as simple as everyone going to the football game and then realizing, hey, you know what, we can do more than that. We can take out time. And everybody does it. The away fans do it. The officials on the field do it. Everyone working the sidelines does it. This isn't just like the student section. The entire stadium of people turn and wave to those kids and those parents, and helps give them a boost to get through their So just shout out to Iowa. It's amazing. Rutgers is playing there. So Iowa has a home game. If you're in the area where you can see that Iowa game, watch it this week and see if you can see what I'm talking about, because they will normally broadcast that part before they go to commercial, because they know how special it is. Or when they come back from commercial, they'll show a video clip of it happening. So if you can check out that Iowa Rutgers game, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But so that's my play it through group, I guess. that I wanted to feature this week, because that's just a wonderful thing that they've done. And it's such a simple thing, isn't it? I
It is.
mean, it's not that hard. They can all see you. It's right there. You take a minute
Right.
of time out of the game to make all these kids and these parents feel wonderful. So I just wanted to highlight that, and shout out to my friend Rusty for reminding me about this tradition that they have by sending me a video of that this week.
You're right. It's a minute that affects, a life. It'll affect a month, a week, a month. It's a highlight for some of these kids, and with their struggles and what they go through, and it just adds some positivity into what it is that they have to deal with, and they know that 70,000 people are behind them, and it just gives you that much more strength and encouragement to continue on and do what you have to do to get better and play it through. Awesome. Hey, and so, yeah, like Dave said, if you want to check it out, the portion of the video I just played like the last 50 some seconds of it. It's a 5-minute video. You'll learn a lot more about it if you go to YouTube, as Dave said, and look up this Iowa waivers, something like, and
the wave,
yeah,
the wave.
And it's a short 5-minute documentary. I watched it earlier today, and it's just fantastic what they're doing there. So moving on to it's week 1. It's actually counts now. I got to tell you, I know we were texting each other back and forth on Thursday preseason, right? And I watched the Rams game, and it was absolutely, I think I put in my text, boring. It was a snooze fest. They didn't play any starters.
Week 4.
And yeah, right. And every team is following Sean McVay's, process of not playing starters. At this point, get rid of preseason, or don't televise it. Just let them practice. Just invite the teams to camp. 2 games, like you say.
2 games.
So if 2 games, do you add 2 more games to the regular season?
I think 2 preseason games is all you need. Because now all these teams, they practice against each other during the week with other teams anyway. If they're close by, or they fly them out or whatever. So they go, it's not live. They're not tackling each other hard, but the strategy's there, the athleticism's there, the timing's there, all that's there. It's just not the full-on hitting. So they're already playing practically a preseason game in the middle of the week by like the 3rd game. So you don't need 4. Plus, and this is a big complaint that I've had, because I've been to preseason games, because sometimes the stadium I'm close to where I live, it's the only time I can see maybe a team that I want to see. Like, I'm a 49er fan. A few years ago, when they were still at Qualcomm in San Diego, the 49ers came and played a preseason game there. So I went. Guess what happens when you're a fan at a preseason game? You still have to pay full ticket prices.
Right.
Like, it's a regular season game to watch the 4th-string people. So do you want to pay $200 to watch a guy that's not going to make the team in the 4th preseason game? So no, make it 2. Okay, you can give your starters more playing time in 2 games. Maybe they play a half, both games. And then if you can't figure out throughout the week and through 2 games who you're keeping and who you're not, ask these general managers. There's like, by week 3, there's like 4 spots they don't know who's going to win a competition or something. It's very minimal. And the guy that doesn't win the spot that's competing usually gets put on the practice team anyway.
Right.
So, and how much money you have going into everybody way before the start of the season, unless you're working on deals right before the season. But that's usually with elite level guys, not guys you're going to cut. So you don't really have to worry about that. So it's like, yeah, just do 2 games. Everyone can get, you can still do your midweek practices with other teams if you want to schedule that. Give me 2 games, still less chance of people getting hurt. It's 2 less games that they have to go through. And then let's wind it up. I don't know if you have to give, I would say you don't even need to give 2 more regular season games. I think you could play a preseason game, take a week off, play another preseason game, take a week off before the season so that these guys are fresh, because some of these teams just played a preseason game Thursday, right? So they've had a week off, which is kind of good for them because that's going to be their schedule. You're going to play 1 game a week. So you're kind of keeping a schedule, especially for coaches on practice time, curfew time, all that stuff, meetings. It's good to be organized like that. But I think if you gave them a week off before the first week game, then you could kind of strategize. All your coordinators would have an extra week to figure out how to win that first game of the season and get your team off to a good start. And if you have a travel, like if you're having an away game, like my 49ers go to Tampa Bay. So when did they leave? They played Thursday. You don't want to get there like the day before the game. But if you have a whole extra week where you can fly down there and you're there 4 days early, get used to the time change of when you're waking up and when you're going to sleep, that all could be a factor if you're traveling clear across the country to different time zones, to have that extra few days to get your body right and your mind right to be at that place.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was listening to a show that I mean, they're trying to break down, is there too many preseason games? Is there enough? The NFL wants to add a couple more regular season games, and and I was thinking about it that, what if you just, what if you actually added a couple more games? So you have 2 preseason games, and then you have 2 extra regular season games, but you don't have to make your 53-man roster till after the fourth game. So you can evaluate. You get extra games to kind of play around with it. You can make up that loss later in the season. Maybe obviously you have to play your starters, but when you stretch your season out, I mean, I think we all know it. You stretch your season out, everyone's going to get tired. Everyone's going to get sore, injured. So you've got more players to play with, at least early on. So you can still at least compete hard early in the season with some of these rookies and these guys trying to make the team, and there's a lot more on the line to make the team. But then, I mean, like, if you add 2 more games, then maybe after the second game, you have to have, that's when you have to have your roster down, not before the first game. So at least you have some time to evaluate players in high pressure situations. That's,
Well, yeah, because it's different because, I mean, you get a guy in a 4th preseason game, it might not matter, but if it's week 1 and now this punt returner or a kick returner trying to make the team is on Monday Night Football and all the lights are on them and it's a nationally televised game, that's when you find out who can play.
Yeah, and it matters.
There's a million guys that can throw rocket balls in practice. There's a million guys that are really fast in practice. And then you get out in the game and it's different from the practice field to when the lights are on. There's some guys like AB, obviously, like Zeke Elliott. These guys haven't played basically all preseason.
Yeah.
But they're phenomenal football players. And I have no doubt they could almost just walk on the field on a Monday Night Football game and light it up. Not everybody can do that. I mean, they're gamers. When they hit the field, they can play. So it's interesting. I think if they could maybe right now that you keep about 10 guys on your practice team, you have a 53-man roster. So maybe they up it to 60. And then, you get to play that first week with 60-man roster and you have, 7 to 10 guys on your practice team. And then you whittle it down from there. And within say 2 weeks, you have to have it back down to 53 and 10 because injuries can happen anytime.
Sure.
You always see every year a few guys go walking off the field right the first couple games of the season.
Yep.
And then you have your own guys that have already been in camp because a lot of the time, since you only keep 7 or 10, depending on what position you have, and the guys you've kept, somebody goes down that you don't have a left guard on your practice team, right? Because you can only have 7 or 8 guys. And then usually you'll see these guys go looking for free agents that got cut from other teams or on other teams, practice teams that haven't even been in your facility. Well, now you can add more guys to your team so you can get your own guys and not have to take from somebody else's practice team and work a deal out. You have a little bit more, depth that you can work with of guys that have actually been training with you and know your stuff and know your guys.
Yeah, and they've actually been higher pressure situations of actual games. How you have a better sense of how they're going to perform. And yeah, you get a couple games under your belt and says, before you have to cut it down. And so, yeah, you drop and pick someone else up that someone else dropped. I think it might make a lot more drama in the NFL, if anything, get a couple of games in that matter, with a larger roster, and those guys are holding out, have to then, they're playing games that matter now. They're not just playing preseason games. So should I be sitting at home? Should I be worried that Connor's going to take my spot? Because those games matter and he's lighting it up. Maybe I should come back for, work a deal out or something. I don't know. So each week now, as we get moving forward, we're going to pick some games, and other shows, they pick, who's going to win, who's going to lose. There's a few out there who do the spread. We're actually going to pick up the spread. We kind of want to make it a little more challenging, I suppose, for ourselves, and add a little more drama into how we pick teams to win this week. So we've picked like 5 games this week from the first week of the NFL that we kind of want to talk about, and we're gonna make some picks. And Dave's gonna win this because I'm more of a, I hate to say it, I'm more of an emotional. I have people I want to win. I just want them to win. I don't care if they are supposed to win. I just want them to. So first one we're looking at is so Bears are favored 3 over the Packers. What do you do you take that?
Yeah, I take the Bears. I know Rodgers is back. He could be healthy. They had some health issues, so they're relatively healthy there at Green Bay now this year. But I mean, they're still not gelling. Like, I don't know if this new coach from last year and Rodgers are really gelling together. He doesn't have as many weapons as he quite used to have as far as receivers. He's got Devontae Adams, who is a stud. But, I don't feel like he has as many weapons as he's had in the past. And I think the Bears are prime this year. They had a good season last year, but I think they're a team kind of like Cleveland. It's just chomping on the bit. And if they can put everything together, they can go really far this season. I saw Khalil Mack. He had a simple quote that you want to see from the best defensive player in the league, if not 1B to Aaron Donald. And it was like, I just can't wait to hit somebody. That was his whole quote.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers, guess what? You're going into Chicago tomorrow night, and Khalil Mack is ready to eat you alive. So I think the Bears are going to cover this 3 points.
I think the Bears will cover this as well. I'm kind of right now a fantasy house divided because unfortunately, I have Mitch Trubisky in our league, our Yahoo league, as my number 1 quarterback, with Nick Foles as my backup. And so Mitchell. I need, what's that?
Mitchell.
Oh,
I don't know. So, Trubisky, man.
I know. I need him. I think they'll cover. I think they'll win. I think they'll cover, but I still need Aaron Rodgers to score a lot of points because he's my number 1 quarterback in another one of my fantasy drafts. I'm in 3 this year, and so I've always done 2. This year I've upped it to 3, and Aaron Rodgers is in another one. I forgot who my quarterback is. I have Patrick Mahomes in my 3rd, and I was a chump and drafted him in like the 4th round. But yeah, so I think the Bears will cover this. I just don't know, especially even watching the Packers last season. They don't have the depth any longer. And the Bears are up and coming, and Trubisky will be up and down. I just hope he steps up for this game. It's a big game. First of the season. Might be a little overwhelming, but I still think the Bears will prevail. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. So here's one that no one can decide on. I mean, in Vegas, even odds, as of last time we checked, right? 49ers, Buccaneers.
Yeah, well, yesterday.
This should, I'm going to be honest with you. This should be the Buccaneers. Jameson Winston, Godwin. I mean, they got a talented team top to bottom. And you can't decide that, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are last year, San Francisco went to Tampa near the middle end of the season, and they lost by 18 without Jimmy G. And Jimmy G hasn't looked so smooth yet this year. So I am a 49er homer, and this game has been a pick 'em since June. And the reason I know that is because I was in Las Vegas in June, and I put money down on the Niners to win the pick 'em. This is my Vegas ticket. Yes. So every year I put money on the Niners to win their first game. So I put money on the Niners. So that's why I'm picking them, because I want that money. But I think it will be a close game. The Buccaneers do have a lot of talent this year on their offense. I think they're kind of an underrated team that could be a little sneaky. That's nice and Amber. But
Sorry.
I gotta take my Niners. And I mean, if Jimmy G can't go on the road to beat a caliber team of the Buccaneers, he is grossly overpaid. He like this at least has to be a close game. If they lose, it better be by like no more than a field goal, or else he's gonna better get ready to hear a lot of boo birds and a lot of people on his case if he goes and after what he did in preseason, and he was hurt all of last year. If he goes out and just doesn't have a good game, expect a lot of media to be questioning the 49ers paying him the money they did.
I am again going to agree with you, but the reason I'm going to agree with you is because Jameis Winston is playing, and watching that guy literally break down like a 12-year-old at the end of the last season. This kid just simply isn't ready for the NFL, and he's been playing for I don't know how many years now. I mean, I watched him literally just melt down, and I think he's done. I think he's done in Tampa Bay. I'd be surprised if he finishes the year. He can't. He's not a leader. He's a player. He's a player. He's got a lot of talent. Not gonna lie, the guy is talented. I'm not gonna take anything away from his ability. He's just not a leader. He's not a game scenario. He's not a critical thinker. He knows what he can do, and that's what he does. But outside of that, and having to apply critical thinking to the game, he just lacks in that. So I think the 49ers win this. I think Jimmy G will have a good game. I think preseason is a fluke. And you have all the starters in there. This is going to matter. He knows it's on his shoulders. And he knows he has to make up for last year for the fans in San Francisco. And so I agree with you. I want to disagree with you on something here, but because I don't want us to have the same record at the end of the week, but I agree with you. 49ers are going to win. How about this one? So Lions are favored by 2.5 over the Cardinals and their new star quarterback and coach, Kyler Murray, and Kingsbury. That's him, the coach. So what do you think on this?
Last year, Detroit went to Arizona and beat Arizona by 14 points. So it's looking good for Detroit to, win this line. After last year, they went down there end of the season. But I'm going to pick the Cardinals. This is going to be my underdog pick of the week. I want to see Kyler Murray go in and make some plays with Larry Fitzgerald. He's got David Johnson healthy again back there. I think the defense is going to be more motivated. They were hurt a lot last year. A lot of injuries for the Cardinals, too. So there was a lot of injuries last year, so it wasn't just like quarterback play from the rookie quarterback. But I am going to take the Cardinals.
And gosh darn it, I'm a homer for the Cardinals also. They're really my team. I wanted Kyler Murray. I have him as a backup in our league, but I wasn't able to get him in the other two. And I tried to wait late in the draft, and other people drafted him. Damn you. I agree. I think Cardinals are going to win this. I mean, you've got, like you said, Larry Fitzgerald, you got Kirk. Johnson, I do have him in 2 of my fantasy leagues. And they're a strong team. They're still going to be a defensive team. They're not going to be they're not going to be a Bruce Arians team. I mean, on defense yet, because you have an offensive minded coach, and I don't know who their defensive coordinator is. But Bruce Arians was a smash mouth kind of guy. Just didn't have it to get him over the hump. To continue after Kurt Warner left. But I agree with you again on this one. Cardinals win and cover the 2.5. All right, let's see if we can differ on this one. Broncos Raiders, again, Vegas has no line on this. Right, when we looked, to post this, Broncos Raiders, pick them. Go ahead.
I'm gonna take the Broncos. So last year, Oakland went home by 13. But for me, the biggest change this year is you got a veteran quarterback in Joe Flacco in Denver, which they haven't had as solid of a quarterback there for quite last few years. And you have Vic Fangio that came over from the Bears to coach the defense. And that's my main reason why I picked them to win, because I think Dick Fangio is such a good defensive coordinator that if you look at the Raiders right now, I'm not high on Carr being an amazing quarterback. AB hasn't even been practicing with them. They have a rookie running back in the backfield. They have maybe a rookie at a tight end spot for their receiving. They have a lot of new. Oakland has a lot of new stuff going on where I don't think they're going to click week 1. And when you got, Chubb and Von Miller running at Carr with Dick Fangio's defense, he's going to have to make real quick decisions, and I don't think they're going to be the best ones. So I basically take this game because I think Denver's defense is going to stifle the Raiders' offense.
Yeah, guys. So we're going to be the same on this one. I agree with you. Broncos, Raiders, just even with Chucky at coach, gosh darn it, I hate to pick against him too. I don't know if maybe he's in the booth too long and lost some of it. I don't know that Derek Carr is your guy. There's too much hope still on Derek Carr. I think Antonio Brown will have a good year. But Broncos are the more talented team, and they're going to win. Where are they playing? Do you know?
In Oakland, a Monday night. It's the Monday night game.
So, it was almost that. It was almost up to that, but no, Broncos are a talented team. Lindsey Freeman, Flacco, the other good guy on defense. I can't give his name. Just a rushing defensive.
Baby.
Yes, thank you. And they're talented, and I think they'll step up. I just don't think that the Raiders, I think they're building for Vegas, and this will be another building year to get people interested and excited about the Raiders before they move to Vegas. All right, so our last game that we want to kind of discuss is just we picked the one that has the largest spread this week. Eagles are favored 10 over the Washington Redskins. I think they cover. You?
Well, last year, Philadelphia beat them by 15 points and 24 points. Carson Wentz is back. He's supposed to be healthy, but he hasn't played for a while. So who knows how good all his timing will be. The Eagles have some different running backs this year in their backfield. They did re-sign Darren Sproles. They do have Josh Howard that was on the Bears last year back there, who I think is a good player. I was kind of sad to see the Bears get rid of him because I do like Howard.
Deshaun Jackson.
Man, I do have Deshaun that can still get deep. Oh boy, it's tough. I think the Redskins would really have to. I think Case Keenum's their quarterback. They still have Adrian Peterson and guys in the backfield, so I think they'll try to run a lot. I think they'll try to smash mouth this game and keep it lower scoring if they can. Redskins don't really have the best receiving crew to like take over a game or make big plays. They don't have really the quarterback for that either. So I'm going to take the Redskins just to differ with you. And I'm going to hope that they try to keep this game low scoring and they try to keep possession of the ball and really kind of get into a lower scoring, closer game by controlling time of possession when they have offense.
Well, it's.
I think you're going to win that. I really want to take the Eagles, but I'm just going to differ. I'm going to differ with you and hope Washington can pull it off.
Earlier we were talking and you were saying, oh, they covered that spread last year twice. I thought you were going to pick the Eagles for sure. But let me tell you why I think the Eagles will cover. I think turnovers. I think the Eagles will get turnovers that will create offensive opportunities. I am not sold. I've never been sold on Carson Wentz ever have I mean, they would have been better to get rid of Carson Wentz and keep Nick Foles. Not that Nick Foles is the end all be all of quarterbacks. Carson Wentz, he has flashes. He's not it. He's not it, but he is serviceable, but he will be hurt by the end of the season again. And, but he will do enough. I think the Eagles cover it because of their turnovers, because they always have a strong defense. And they have great playmakers. Not that they're top to bottom, just solid. They got guys who know how to make plays. And Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, Sproles. I mean, these guys, it's like, they're not at the top of my fantasy draft, but you know what? They are going to individually make the plays count, when they have that opportunity. So the Eagles cover 10.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. You can take the early season lead on me by the Eagles covering.
You'll still crush me because I'm more of an emotional picker. In anything, I just say, oh, I like that better, so I'm gonna pick that and see how it works out. And it doesn't work out. But so with that, let's go ahead and let's get it on video. I'll have to go through and write this down later. We got a long show going today, but that's okay. Thank you for the people that are watching. Hey, if you have a comment on any of this stuff, please let us know. Write something. If you think that, tell us Eagles, Redskins. Will the Eagles cover 10 and or the Redskins? Or if we're right now, we're gonna talk about our division picks for the year and get that on record. So Dave can crush me there. And as we talk about it, put them in the comments, because we'll come back and in a few weeks when you pick somebody that's 0-3, we'll point you out. We'll put you on blast. No, I'm kidding. But let us know what you think. And so I'm gonna put up. All right, so here's the divisional. Let me get rid of this banner. We're done with that spread. So here's divisions for the year. So why don't we go ahead and just simply start with the AFC? You and I will go ahead and make our pick on who will win the division, and then maybe we could finish with our own Super Bowl game 1 Super Bowl predictions. So who do you think AFC East?
I'll take the Patriots forever in the AFC East to win that. In the North, I will take AFC North. I'm going to take the Steelers still. Even though I think Cleveland's going to have a really great year, I think at the end of the season, the Steelers will just have a win or two more than them still. And then in the AFC South, I'm going to take the Texans. I like J.J. Watt. I like Deshaun Watson. They won like 11 games last year. All those other teams are so random. Colts lost their quarterback. They paid Brissett for a couple years, pretty good money, double what he was making. But I don't, and he's a very solid quarterback, but I don't know if he's a guy that gets you to the playoffs. Mariota is in a make or break year, basically. Yep. They're not going to pay him until they see how he does at the end of this year. So he basically has to get to the playoffs, or he's going to be on another team, I think, next year, and they're going to change that course. And then you have Nick Foles, who's, obviously he won a Super Bowl last year, but he's been all around the league. He's with a new team again.
2
A
years
lot
ago.
of newness. Yeah, 2 years. A lot of newness there too. So I just think Houston kind of right now, even though they needed some playmakers, which they worked on trying to get this offseason. They have Hopkins, who's I think maybe the best receiver in the league. I think they just have the most stability out of every team, except maybe the Titans. So I'm just going to go with Houston there. And then in the West, I have the Chiefs. Andy Reid's a great coach. Mahomes is incredible. I think it's going to be close, though. I think the Chargers are really going to give them a run for their money, just because I think people are undervaluing the fact that the Chiefs, for at least halfway through the season, I believe, have lost Tyreek Hill, which had how many huge plays for them last year? I mean, out of those 50 touchdown passes, he had like 15 of them, and some were 80-yard touchdowns. He's like the fastest guy in the league, and they lost Kareem Hunt, who also had a ton of plays for them last year.
Yep.
And yeah, I think Damian Williams can come in, but they basically lost their 2 out of the 3 best playmakers besides Travis Kelce. So can Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce and Damon Williams now take up all the slack that was left by Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill not being there at the start of the season, So I think that's been over or undervalued and not talked about as enough. I mean, those are 2 huge playmakers that Mahomes lost this year. So I have them still just edging out the Chargers to win that AFC West.
Yeah, for me, the AFC, I'm going to differ with you in the AFC, and I'm going to go the Jets. Ryan Fitzmagic, right? Is that where he went? Sam Darnold. No, Ryan is in Miami. See, that might change my. I just cannot pick. I just cannot pick the Patriots. It pains me to be a Steve Devine and to say, "Oh, the Patriots, you're gonna win everything.
They're the best."
Until you prove me wrong,
they're the best,
right? Until you prove me wrong. He walked around with his captain and Coke in his big old plastic Patriots cup. I mean, the man is proud of the Patriots, and he should be. He absolutely should be. Damn it. No. I totally had the quarterback wrong at the Jets. Nope. I got to go with the Patriots. I still think the Patriots win the East. In the North, I'm taking the Cleveland Browns. Roethlisberger should have retired. Connor is going to have a sophomore slump. Sorry. And I think people held out that Antonio Brown would come back and they'd be better. They're not. They're just not going to do it. I think. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised the Steelers take last in that. Sorry, Kelly Devine, because she is a Steelers fan. So in
AFC,
what's that?
So is your father-in-law.
Yeah, but I mean, you grow up with it. It's just like I grew up with the Rams. You got to like the Rams, right? He grew up. Okay, it's not the steel curtain anymore. So it's the plastic curtain. AFC South, I'm actually taking the Jaguars. I want to take the Titans. I want to take the Titans because their defense is probably, I think, the most stable defense. Texans, yeah, JJ Watt, but they lost the Clowney. Just lost Clowney. They're not as they don't have that threat. They have the coach, Bill O'Brien. No, he finds ways to lose the game for them. So, and they lost a receiver, running back, right? Fuller, is it Fuller? No, they lost a running back in preseason. No,
Miller. Houston lost Miller. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it will be Jaguars, Titans, Texans, Tennessee in that. I'm going to throw it out there to Nick Foles. And that's a gamble. But I want the Titans to do better because I'm a Marcus Mariota fan, hands down. I think this is last year for Marcus with Tennessee. And I think he's still a phenomenal player. He's got a lot to prove in the NFL. I think he'll go on to a team next year and win the Super Bowl next year. Okay, moving on to the AFC West. I'm taking the Broncos. Even though I need Patrick Mahomes to have an amazing year, I think the Denver Broncos are a better team. It's like you said, Kansas City lost a lot of their scoring and their big playmakers in Hill and Hunt. And I just think that Denver will have a defense that will be able to hold off the others in that division. So, yeah. So we'll have to write all these down because I already forgot what I picked. So how about the NFC?
I remember.
Oh, of course you do. You don't forget anything because I'll change my pick mid-season. You'll say no. You pick the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Not the Texans.
Yep, I remember.
So hang on. I'm going to go down the NFC first so that, okay. No, I've been talking. You do your NFC picks.
Oh, if you were on a roll, I was going to let you go. Well, I'm going to take the Cowboys because you just paid Zeke more money than any other NFL running back ever. So I got to take the Cowboys because now he's got to prove he's worth that money and he'll be motivated. So I'll take Dallas, even though I can't stand them. I'll take the Cowboys because the Giants aren't good and Washington's not very good, and I'm not sure about the Eagles. So, and they Cowboys made the playoffs last year, so I'll just take them based on kind of what they have. They have a similar group they had last year, and they got to the playoffs. So I'll take Dallas. I'm going to take the Bears in the North. I think they're prime. I think Minnesota will have a good season also. But I'm going to take the Bears because I think they're ready to make a leap to be one of the better teams in the NFL. And then I'm going to take the Saints in the South because they barely lost 2 NFC championship games the last 2 years to make it to the Super Bowl. So they just got knocked out of the playoffs the last 2 years, barely on crazy plays at the end of games. And I still think that Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas and what they have there and the defense can still dominate that league, that division there against Atlanta, Carolina, and Tampa Bay, and that's half of your wins on the season. So, and then for the West, I would love to take my 49ers, but if I have to be honest and pick a team, I'm gonna take the Rams because they still have that defense. They still have Aaron Donald, the best defensive player in football. Goff has so many weapons. Woods, Cooks, Kupp's back. Todd Gurley's going to get a lighter workload, so he'll be fresher. And I don't see the Seahawks, the 49ers, or the Cardinals improving enough to get more wins than the Rams will by the end of the season.
I'm going to go from the bottom up. I'm going to go from the NFC West. So I'm going to agree with you on the Rams just because they're already solid. They're already gelled. I mean, I think when we were drafting, you saw Woods and Brooks were like this next to each other, in the rankings. And you didn't see any other receivers like that for any other team. And then Cooper Kupp was just like 5 down from that. So when you look at that, even in fantasy, that just means any one of those guys is going to score a lot of points. So they still have to have a run game. Todd Gurley has got to still have a productive year. He's still got to be a threat, and I think he will be. So I agree with you, the Rams. I think then it's going to be the Cardinals, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. I think Seahawks will take last in that division, and I'll be wrong on that for sure. But I think Arizona has got the ability to be like the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. They got a lot of talent. David Johnson got hurt last year. Before that, phenomenal running back. They get their run game going. They're going to still be a tough team, and they'll have a decent defense. The NFC South, I agree with you. The Saints. I wanted to take somebody else, but I agree with you. The Saints are just, you can't bet against them right now. Atlanta is actually going the opposite way. Carolina just had a year last year that was so unproductive, but they've got such talented players. Tampa Bay still has Jameis Winston, so yeah. NFC North, Chicago. I'm picking Chicago. Yeah, and you shouldn't pick against the Packers. Still have Aaron Rodgers, but I'm taking Chicago. And in the NFC East, I can never pick Dallas. Sorry, Stan. I can never pick Dallas. So all that's left is the Eagles. So I'll take the Eagles to edge that one out against over the Cowboys for the NFC East. So, all right, we are on record. We're getting close to the end of our show. This is our longest show yet. It's awesome. This is fun.
Hey, you know what? I watch 3.5-hour Joe Rogan podcasts sometimes, so we're still 2 hours under those. So I think we're okay.
So we can make up topics after we get off script, but no. So you had actually picked something up that there was an NFL player this week that right there set a new world record.
Yep, Guinness World Record. Most one-handed catches.
I'm gonna skip
60
ahead.
seconds.
So who do you remember who held the record before him?
Yeah, it was Jarvis Landry, and he was getting balls thrown to him by Brady Quinn.
By Brady
and it was 49. Quinn. He had 49 of them. And Newton got 51.
51 catches in 60 seconds, one-handed catches in 51 seconds. I watched this, and this guy right now is like, unfortunately, we couldn't count some of your catches because you held them against your body. But there were also some that just popped out of his hand. So hopefully they didn't catch those. I didn't actually go back and count. But then they're going to tell him here that he actually got 51 in the record. So, but I thought they were, before I watched, I'm going to be honest, before I watched the video, I thought they were coming out of a machine. I thought they were real kind of passes. And
those lobs.
They're lobs. And I mean, you put some receiver gloves on and you can make one-handed catches. I have small hands. I make one-handed catches in our flag football league, not like others, but I just thought those were kind of easy passes. There obviously isn't a benchmark for the level of or speed or hardness of passes, but congratulations to Cam Newton. Anyway, either way, he set a world record.
Got the record. Yeah, and you got to throw them at a good clip. I mean, they got to be coming because you got to catch almost one a second. 60 seconds, catch 51. You can't really miss. And he misses a few, but they got to be coming one right after the other.
Yeah, and watching the video, you see the guy. There's got one guy. Yeah, see this guy here is passing him to the guy who's throwing him. So he's just, as you watch it, boom, the guy's giving it to him. So he's feeding. And, but
they're about 15 yards away. They're about 15 yards away from each other.
So, I mean,
at least 12. Yeah.
It's, but good for him, but too bad he's not a receiver in the NFL.
I bet he catches a touchdown pass on a trick play this year. Watch for that. He said he has the best hands in the NFL. That's why he did this. So I bet he catches a touchdown pass this year on a trick play.
Okay, you heard it here. Sports and Drafts. Dave predicted trick play, Cam Newton, touchdown pass thrown to him. Oh, so all right. So we're getting towards the end. So we got a big week in sports, no doubt. Week 1 of the NFL. College is continuing. Again, Major League is down to the last 98 games. And who are you watching this weekend?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not watching the big 3 anymore because the championship happened. The triplets won. ISO Joe Johnson, MVP, had 28 points against Steven Jackson's killer threes. Steven Jackson had 19, gave it a valiant effort. But I can't watch any more big 3 because the season's over. my favorite team, the Three-Headed Monsters, won the third place game. LeBron James was courtside. That's huge for the league. Joe Johnson now has like 5 tryouts with NBA teams this week. So that's huge for the league because it shows that maybe you can get back into the league if you still got something left and can dominate the league. So unfortunately, I won't watch any of this, but what I will be watching absolutely 100% is the NFL Week 1, of course. So, my main games, we highlighted some of them on our picks. Definitely the Chicago Green Bay games, the first game. Just this week, the game is in Chicago. They unveiled George Halas and Walter Payton statues. It's the 100th year of the NFL. So, huge game. 2 of the first founding, basically franchises starting off this huge anniversary for the NFL on Thursday night. So watch that. It's at 5:20 p.m. on NBC tomorrow night, first game. And then I'm saying Atlanta and Minnesota. I think that's going to be a good game. I think both those teams will be close to maybe potentially playoff teams, and they're going to play at 10 a.m. on Fox on Sunday. Pittsburgh, New England. Obviously, two really good teams. We'll see what Big Ben can do. We'll see if Tom Brady and Belichick still have it. It's going to be a big win for whoever wins that first game. It's the Sunday night game, and that's on at 5:20 on Sunday on NBC. And then all the divisional games. So I'm always a sucker for any divisional game. So you have Buffalo and the Jets, the Eagles against the Redskins, Giants, Cowboys, Denver, Oakland. That's the Monday night game. The last game on ESPN at night on Monday is the Denver, Oakland game. Anytime you have divisional games, that means something. You need to win your division to get in the playoffs. So that's what I'm watching for the NFL, and, of course, hopefully my 49ers, because I got money riding on a win. And then college football. So this Saturday, watch number 1 Clemson again. The point spread's not so big, only 17.5 against 12th ranked Texas A&M. That is on 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on ABC. LSU, let's see if that kid can throw 5 touchdown passes against number 9 Texas at 4:30 on ABC. I don't think he's going to pull off a first half like he did last week. And then Stanford is ranked 23rd. They're playing USC. So this is more of a SoCal rival game against NorCal. Mm-hmm. So it's always a tough game. But the USC quarterback, JT Daniels, out for this season after an injury last week. So if you are a USC fan, you need to see how your backup quarterback's going to do now against a ranked Stanford team in a rival game. So I would watch that game, even though it doesn't have huge implications of 2 ranked teams. MLB baseball. So we are getting down to the last 25 games or so. Wild card races are big. And 2 of these matchups are going to sound very familiar because they're the same matchups that I said to watch last week, just how the schedule was written. I didn't do it. So it's the Cubs and Brewers again, which, if you remember right, what I said earlier in the show, the Brewers took 2 out of 3 games last weekend and shut out the Cubs the last 2 games of that series. Let's see if the Cubs can score some runs this series against the Brewers. Phillies, Mets. So they're playing again also. They just played last weekend, and the Mets took 2 out of 3 games. So let's see if that flips. That's the craziest thing about baseball is all this could flip. You play one weekend, one team can win 2-1. The next weekend, the same teams can play, and the other team can win 2-1. That's why baseball is so frustrating for me to watch. And it really depends on pitching. I mean, if you got a Justin Verlander, guess what? You're winning that game most of the time. So it just comes down to pitching most of the time. So check on those pitching matchups and see who you think is going to win. And then the Yankees-Red Sox, their series is this weekend. It starts on Friday. And basically, the Yankees can knock out any hope of the Red Sox making the playoffs if they have a strong series against them this weekend. Red Sox are just hanging by a thread with a small possibility of making a wild card. But the Yankees can basically break their rivals' hearts this weekend if they could get a sweep or a real dominant win 3 out of 4 games or something like that. Go ahead.
So, do you already talk about Phillies Mets?
Okay, yeah, a little bit.
So you're in a fantasy baseball league, right?
Yep.
And is that like a daily management?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How you doing?
Fantasy baseball is more intense than any other fantasy league that I could think of, but maybe hockey, because I don't know anything about hockey. So if you want to stump me with hockey trivia on here, go ahead, because I haven't really been serious into watching hockey since like the early 2000s.
Jessica and Hayden Muirhead would probably let's see if they can come up with a question for you. How are you doing? Because I know you've this is your second or third year, right? In fantasy baseball. How are you doing this year?
It's my third year. I'm in the middle of the pack this year. I won last year. The first year, I think I was near the end because I didn't realize how time consuming it was and the strategy of it. And there's so many categories that you have to win heads up with against the guy every week. So you don't know when you need to play more closing pitchers to get more saves and more holds, and your ERA gets lower because all these stats count. There's like 27 different stats that you can win each week or something heads up against the other guy, and you get a 1 point for each stat you win. So if my guys for the week hit 12 home runs and the other guys hit 10, I get 1 point because my team had more home runs. And then at the end of the week, you add your points up, and then basically throughout the year, that's how you're rated: is how many wins did you get, how many losses, and how many ties. So I'm in the middle of the pack this year. I won it last year, but yeah, it's time consuming. You basically, what's nice on a lot of these sites though is you can set your lineup like for the whole week at once, because there's so many guys that don't have games or whatever, that you can put your lineup in for the whole week at one time if you want to. You can kind of see the pitch up. I have a bookmark for probable pitchers, so I know who's pitching every day of the week. So I'll look at that and see, because you're some pitchers, like if I had to go against Justin Verlander, I wouldn't be playing any guys from my team going against Justin Verlander that day. I'd put somebody else in that position.
Sure.
So you got to kind of look at who the pitcher is going to be, how they've been doing recently. Also, batters. Do I have a hot batter? Maybe there's a guy I haven't played a lot, but he's on a 9-game hitting streak. Well, now I'm going to put him in, So there's a lot. Baseball fantasy is a lot, and it's every day. And guys get, oh, my thumb hurts, I'm not going to bat today. And you don't know until like 10 minutes before the game that, this guy's got a blister on his finger, so he can't play today or whatever it is. It's a lot, but it's fun.
All right. So you put down here a lightweight title fight. And I know we've gone so long that your AirPods might have held out. And so that's a positive.
I was switching out.
Yeah, it got a little echoey. I could tell that you were on your iPad was picking it up for a second. Might have held out. I'm surprised at over almost an hour and 40 minutes. But you got a UFC lightweight title fight.
Yeah, UFC 242. It's Khabib. He's a champ. He's gonna fight Dustin Poirier, and I'm taking Khabib. He's a champ. He's undefeated. Justin's, he only has a handful of losses on his record, but I think Khabib is just one of the most dominant MMA fighters right now. So, I don't, like I said, I'm not a fan of either one of these guys. If it was an upset, cool. I don't care. I don't have, a horse in this race. I just think it will be a good fight, but I think Khabib will end up winning. But it is a big fight. This is a fight that a lot of people have been looking forward to.
U.S. Open's tennis and men's finals are this weekend. Sorry, I was looking down. So I'm enjoying another red.
Oh,
sorry.
Nice.
You know what? I've actually been watching a little bit of tennis, at least highlights, and some amazing plays. I saw one by Federer. I forgot who he was playing, but hit this shot that was so wide out of bounds that he wrapped it around the net, not even over the net, around the net, and inbounds. And then today at lunch, I was at lunch with my son, and he was like, "Oh my God, did you see that?" I'm like, because the TV I had didn't have tennis on, the one to the right left did, and he's like, the guy totally hit it out of bounds around the net inbound. So that's obviously becoming a popular play. But the one with Federer, who just went on, I think he won 3 sets straight. he's still a phenomenal player. But yeah, around the net, it's just amazing. But anyway,
Yeah,
U.S. Open women's and men's final
yes,
this weekend.
I saw that too. That was Rafael Nadal made a shot like that, and Tiger Woods was attending and gave
Yes,
the
yes,
Tiger fist pump from
yes.
the crowd. So that was
And
fun to see him
I wish
celebrating someone else doing
I
something
wish that
awesome.
I wish I was that popular that where it's like, okay, we've got 12 cameras, 24 cameras to cover this event. You can never leave Tiger Woods. You watch
Yeah,
Tiger
pretty
Woods the
much.
entire time because I saw that replay. It's like, that's not something that you just pan to real quick, right? You had that
Nope.
shot the whole time. And so Tiger Woods gets his own camera, even though he's not competing.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. So the U.S. Open women's finals on Saturday and the men's is on Sunday. It's still to be determined what time those are going to be. But so women's final Saturday, men's Sunday. Shout out to Nancy Lieberman, coach of the Power and the Big Three, Hall of Fame women's basketball. She's there doing charity things. She got to go out and do one of the coin flips at one of the start of the matches. So that was cool. I saw that on her Instagram. She was very psyched to be there and do that. So yeah, if you're into tennis, watch the finals, women's Saturday, men's Sunday. And then just the last thing I would say is, support WNBA. The women end their season this week, their regular season. Like I said, it's really good basketball. There's a lot of really talented players in that league. There's a good handful of women that can drop 35 to 40 points at any given night. So they can score it just like the men can. Um, just super talented. I like watching it. There's a lot of players that I've been watching. I've been watching it since it started. I remember watching Rebecca Lobo. UConn's my favorite women's team ever, not just because they've won forever. I've been a UConn fan of the men's and women's teams since I was a kid. I've always liked their coaches. I've always liked their programs. Sue Bird, who's from there, plays for the Seattle team, the Storm, and unfortunately, she won't be playing the rest of this year because she has knee injury and everything. But she's a Hall of Fame basketball player, and she's always been my favorite player. But watch these ladies, and one thing to watch, maybe just look at box scores, but there's some stat leader races going into the end of the WNBA season that I'm curious about because I would want to lead in a stat. I would want to
Only you
lead the
would be
league in
curious.
something.
Only you would be curious about this. No, I'm not saying only you, but
you know who's really curious about it? Jonquel Jones of the Connecticut Sun,
what?
because she is like point less than one whole point leading the second place person for rebounds, and she's less than one block in a game leading the second place person to lead in blocks. So she has two major statistical categories that she could win this year in the regular season if she finishes a strong rebounding and block shots. Brittany Griner is like 0.1 block behind her that plays for the Phoenix Mercury. And then in rebounds, the person that's second to her is like 0.5 rebounds behind her. So there's like maybe 2 regular season games left for these ladies. And someone's going to take that stat line. Someone's going to be the leader at the end of the season. And this Jonquel Jones, I'm going to be checking her out for the Connecticut Sun to see how many blocks and rebounds she gets to see if she can stay on top at the end of this season this week. So that's something I'm watching at. I want her to keep on top. You're at the top, stay on top. A lot of Patriot fans will like that comment.
So I'm actually going to throw something in here that is totally off topic. I just I have a friend on Facebook, and I made a comment. He asked the question. He's a Laker homer, Andrew Perez, and but he asked this question. It's just a meme. Kobe has the ball. You need to stop him for your life. And which defender are you taking? I'll show you the pictures, but it says Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Gary Payton, Dwayne Wade, Ben Wallace, Kawhi Leonard, Dennis Rodman, Draymond Green, LeBron James, or Kevin Garnett. Let's see if I can get those up there for you to see. And
yeah,
I already commented. Do you have? I mean, this is totally off topic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but do you have a pick of those that if Kobe has the ball, you need to stop for life?
Yeah.
One of those is your option.
Yeah.
Who's your pick?
I take Michael Jordan because Kobe stole every single one of his moves, so he'll know exactly what he's going to be trying to do. Plus, he's the most aggressive player maybe in history besides Kobe. So I take Jordan. If you ask me for my life on any basketball question almost ever, then maybe a 3-point shot, I take Jordan every time. If it's a life or death situation, because Michael Jordan would rather die than let Kobe Bryant score on him in a one-on-one situation to the death.
And yeah, that's an interesting take. I responded Scottie Pippen. And
that's a good one too. He was in my top 3.
You know, long hands, great defender. And I said maybe Rodman, but maybe I said Rodman is better against the big man than a small man. I mean, I don't think anyone could guard a big man like Shaq better than Rodman, because it's not only the physical play, it's the mental play. And I meant
it'd have to be a young Pistons Rodman, not older Rodman. It'd have to be Defensive Player of the Year 1989, like Rodman, that could cover a point guard or a center.
Yeah,
it'd have to be that Rodman.
Because I even seen him with the Bulls when they would play the Lakers and Shaq would be so out of it, because Shaq at that time was just bang, bang, layup, bang, bang, you know, and he just beat you down. And Rodman would take 1, take 2, step away, and let him fall flat on his ass, or, you know, and shit, and then get in his head. And all of a sudden, Rodman's getting an elbow to the face. And so he could totally take Shaq out mentally. And you know, like no other. But I chose Scottie Pippen just because he's just got such he's just lengthy, and his hands were good on defense. But I agree with you on that. When it comes down to passion and my life depends on it, you're right. You know, Michael Jordan is that end all be all to I'm giving it all to get all.
Yeah.
So we hour and 48 minutes. We crushing it tonight. This is awesome. And before I get to the last subject, because it's not the lightest of subjects, let me tell you, if you watch this broadcast throughout the week, we're getting like 500 views a week on our replays. Today, for the first time, we're streaming live to YouTube. So we hope we can engage our reach out there and get more viewers. We'd love you guys to join us live. We want your interaction. We want to share this show with you. This is really about you as much as it is about the sports and the topics we talk about. And so please share the restream or the replay with your friends. Just ask them, hey, you know, check out this lame show. No, I'm kidding. Check out this show with these guys. They got a lot to talk about. Dave is just an amazing wealth of knowledge, and Chuck just rides his coattails, man. But you know, we'd love to have you guys join the show live, because we'll play off of you. We'll show your comments, and we'll react, and that's who we are. We want to engage you, and that's the fun in this. And so you're as much a part of the show as we are. So please be sure to check us out live. But before we go, I had this queued up last week, and I didn't go there because it was just so fresh, and being new to, you know, to what we're doing, it's more of a heavier subject. But I wanted to share this a little bit. Everyone probably knows today by now that Jessica Combs, passed away a little over a week ago, trying to break her own 4-wheel land speed record. This woman is the fastest woman in the earth on 4 wheels. She had a goal of setting the actual land speed record, which I think is like over 512 miles an hour. And I I actually watched her before we would get up on Sundays before church, and I would watch her on All Girls Garage, which is a cool show. But she was on Overhaul, she was a co-host for a while on MythBusters. She's been on a lot of different shows. And she's just a badass race car woman. I love racing. You can race snails, and I'm interested. But she puts herself in the Baja races. Obviously land speed records. She passed away trying to break it up in Oregon. And just an amazing competitor and woman, and just a wealth of knowledge in the industry. It's not just she. I don't want to offend anyone just to say that she was a face in this industry, because she wasn't. And she was a leader. She was she was instrumental in what she did in racing, of anything, in automotive. She knew about cars, 5,000 times more than I do. And I think I'm a car guy. So, we'll miss you, Jessica, or Jesse, sorry. And so that's basically that. I just wanted to mention that. And because I think that the car world, the racing world, just lost a tremendous person that was leading, and not only for women, but just as an American professional in what it was that she did. And so, yeah. How do you transition out of that? Just, I could pour a little bit on the floor here to say that I did, and I'll drink to Jesse. So, anyway, if you stuck with this for 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 40 seconds, you're a better person than we are. So, we had a lot to unpack. We're going to have a lot next week as we actually start to see who's a little bit more of a prognosticator in the world of NFL. We're going to start this fall. I have no idea when. We're going to start an NBA fantasy league, and first time I've ever done it. Have you done a fantasy league before? Once.
I've played in one. I've never ran one. I'll be running this one, but I've only played once with a bunch of people I didn't know on one of the main fantasy sites. I can't remember if it was ESPN or Yahoo or NBA.com, but yeah, a few years ago I played one time.
So that's going to be fun. It's going to make NBA a lot more interesting. And if how many do you still have spots left on your team in the league?
I'm waiting to hear back, but I might have a couple.
Yeah. I mean, so, yeah. Anyway, so check that out. We'll be doing that later this fall. And we've just got a busy fall. I mean, obviously, if we can fill almost 2 hours worth of stuff, it's just going to get that much better. And next week, I've got a special on Formula Drift racing. If you haven't heard about it, you should have heard about it. It's amazing. And we're down to the final two of the season. So I'll be giving you insight on that a little bit next week, and talking about the standings, what's coming up, the final, again, last two races, and the last one, obviously, here in Irwindale, which is close by to us, and that we've attended a couple of times. And it's just an amazing style of racing. So you don't want to miss that. Frederick Osbo and James Dean right now are leading the standings in that, but it's just a fun sport. So again, we're up to anything. If you got a sport you want us to cover, please let us know. Also, we are looking for guests. We have some lined up, but we are always looking for guests. If you have an interest in sports, if you have a sports organization, a sports cause, an event that you want to talk about, let us know. And we'd love to talk to you and add you to our program. So, Dave, another great job. I mean, you carry us here definitely with your fantastic knowledge, man.
Oh, you'll probably beat me this week and get that Philly game.
I hope so. I want to come back because I'll create a special dance, because
Yeah.
I shouldn't be able to do that. But really, that was the only game we differed on. And so anyway, all right. If you're on Facebook, check us. Be sure to share the show. If you're on YouTube, I don't know how you share the show, but do it. Figure it out. Do it for us. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday, 5:30 here on the West Coast. All right. Stay cool. It's hot here. Dave, thank you. See you next week.
Cheers. See you next week.
Cheers. Bye, guys.